Good morning and welcome to UC Davis Continuing and Professional Education's Paralegal Studies Certificate Information Session. My name is Jensen Reddy, and I am the Program Enrollment Coach for the Paralegal program here at UC Davis. If we've had the chance to connect already, it's great to see you again. And if we haven't had a chance to meet, or if you'd like to meet after today's information session, please don't hesitate to reach out. My contact information will be available at the end of this presentation. So we're going to have about 1 hour together today. We may not end up using that entire time, but I do want to make sure to provide the full hour to answer any questions that anyone might have at the end. Hopefully you can all hear me today. I don't see any questions rolling in quite yet in the Q&A function, and so I'm assuming that you can. If you do have any issues with the sound, or if you have any issues viewing the slide deck I will be sharing today, don't hesitate to submit a question through the Q&A function. This is going to be a webinar, so we will, like I said before, not be utilizing the raise your hand function of Zoom. As you have questions throughout the presentation, feel free to use that Q&A function that you can find at the bottom of your Zoom. And then we're going to have a dedicated time at the end to answer all of those questions. We're going to start off by going over the agenda just a little bit. So first, we're going to go into the program audience and job demand. Then we're going to launch into an overview of the program, how the program is structured. We're going to talk about some frequent questions that get asked. We're going to discuss the program financial information and a discount code that you will receive just for attending. And then we're going to discuss a little bit about networking and job placement. And then we'll have a time at the end for Q&A, like I mentioned before. Once again, throughout the course of this presentation, I just want to emphasize, please use that Q&A feature to submit any questions you have at any point, and I will do my best to address them at the end of the presentation. Let's jump right in and start taking a look at the program audience. So who exactly is this certificate for? We have three main audiences we are serving with the certificate. So one being those involved in legal matters who want to gain a clearer understanding of legal processes. Two being legal staff who wish to enhance or advance their careers by earning a professional credential. And three being career changers looking for a professional career with strong compensation. And of course, these three categories aren't inclusive of every individual starting point, but this program is designed with these three approaches in mind. And there are a ton of starting points, such as students interested in law school, or people interested in becoming a certified legal document assistant, or maybe you're interested in one of our paralegal specialist programs that we'll talk about a little bit later in this information session. But I'm just using these to reiterate that these are just the three broad categories this program serves. If you're unsure if this program is right for you after this presentation, I would highly encourage you to set up a time to meet with me on my Calendly that I will go ahead and provide in the chat right now. It's also a good time to mention that if you do have any questions that you want to sit down and have a one-on-one conversation to get answered, as the presentation goes on, and maybe you don't feel comfortable asking it using the Q&A function, please feel free to schedule a 15 or 30-minute meeting with me at the link in the chat. Moving on, let's get into an overview of the program's job demand and outlook. So according to Lightcast Labor Market Analytics, there were over 2,000 jobs posted for paralegals just in 2024, just in the state of California, with an average advertised salary of $73,500. And according to research.com, there are currently 44,000 working paralegals in the state of California, and there is an anticipated growth rate of about 12% in California specifically, outpacing the national average, which is a 1% growth rate. The paralegal profession seems to be maintaining a robust job market for 2025 and beyond in the state of California. So now that we've talked on the surface about the job demand for paralegals, let's talk about the time commitment from this program. We're going to talk a little bit about career networking and job placement opportunities later on in this information, so we're not quite done with this topic, but we're going to put a pin in it for right now. So let's talk about the time commitment. So like I said, this program is going to be a time commitment no matter where you are coming from. If you're intending to enroll in this program, I want you to be fully aware of what to expect when it comes to your time. We'll talk about how our program complies with the California Business and Professions Code requirements to become a paralegal and how our program's time commitment plays into that in just a little bit. But for now, please note that you can expect to spend approximately 10 to 15 hours of work per week in this program. When considering enrolling, I would highly recommend that you be conservative in your estimate and assume it may take up to 15 hours per week. Although this course is self-paced, both of our instructors, who you will see on the next slide, are available to work with you on any questions you have on any of the content, the assignments, or exams that might come up. As a student of the program, you will have direct access to them. And as I just mentioned, this program is entirely asynchronous and self-paced, meaning that there is no weekly assignments. The completion of the course is up to you and your schedule. We do have a maximum time to complete the course at 6 months, but we have had students finish in as little as 3 months if they are able to dedicate more time to the program. These courses give you the freedom to schedule your education how you want, allowing you to take and complete these courses in tandem with taking care of anything else going on in your personal life. We wanted to design the course so that it would work around your schedule and not the other way around. So now that we've covered the time commitment, let's meet our instructors. So we have Stephanie and Michael. Stephanie specializes in federal criminal defense and complex commercial litigation. She's admitted to practice in New York, and Michael is a practicing attorney and has been lecturing in paralegal and legal studies programs for the past 18 years. He has over 25 years of legal experience in both civil and criminal litigation. He completed his undergraduate studies at the Johns Hopkins University and the London School of Economics and Political Science, and he received his Juris Doctor degree from Brooklyn Law School. So both of these are practicing attorneys, and Stephanie is actually also the program's academic coordinator. So you're going to be hearing from her when you enroll. These will be the instructors and lawyers that you are going to reach out to with any questions as they come up during the course. So to preface the next slide, which we'll be talking about our digital education platform, this program is delivered in partnership with the Institute of Career Development, otherwise known as the ICD. The curriculum and highly qualified instructors are provided by the ICD and vetted and approved by the UC Davis School of Law. The Institute of Career Development also provides the digital learning environment I mentioned earlier, which we're going to talk about now, which is called Paralegal Space. So Paralegal Space is an online digital learning platform similar to how Canvas operates if you've used that in the past. But if you haven't or haven't used any digital learning platform, no worries at all. We actually have a way for you to try it out. So I will be sending a follow-up email with a test drive link that will allow you to complete a brief digital test run of the website so that you can see exactly what your learning environment will look like before you actually commit to the certificate. A lot of students haven't used a digital learning platform before, so we want to make sure you get your hands on and can view that before you start. Once again, that's going to be in a follow-up email from me, which will come around 24 hours after this presentation or less. We will also talk about a career benefit of Paralegal Space a little bit later in the program. So we're not quite done talking about Paralegal Space. We'll put a pin in it for a little bit later. In the meantime, however, let's go over the program structure and what is required for you to complete the program and receive your Paralegal Studies certificate. So what is actually required for you to walk away with a certificate after enrollment? So the first requirement is successfully completing all 4 modules. The second is passing each and every exam and assignment with a grade of 70% or better. One thing to note is that you do only get one opportunity to take each of the exams, so make sure that you are prepared. But once again, this program is self-paced, so you have the ability to prepare as much as needed prior to the exams. There's no exam timing or deadlines. Once again, it's all self-paced. And lastly, you must complete a minimum of 360 hours of academic work as part of the program. Like I mentioned before, we're going to talk about this requirement in just a second. But before we talk about that, let's talk about specifics about what you can expect in the 4 modules this course contains. So the primary module for the course is Essential Skills for Paralegals. And you're going to allow, or should allow, about 3 to 4 months to complete this. And then there's 3 additional modules that are a little bit shorter that are Tort Law, California Procedures, and Contract Law. And individually, you should allot about 1 to 3 weeks for each of these. And they should take around 4 to 6 weeks in total to complete these substantive modules. So let's dive a little bit deeper into the modules. So in the first module, Essential Skills for Paralegals, This is probably the most self-explanatory one, but essentially, this is going to be all-inclusive of everything essential that a paralegal will need to understand in order to practice as a paralegal specifically in the state of California. The second is tort law for paralegals. In this module, you're going to gain an understanding of laws pertaining to personal injury, product liability, and malpractice. You will examine the intentional torts of battery, assault, false imprisonment, intentional infliction of mental distress, and trespass to property and conversion. You're going to analyze negligence, breach of duty, causation and damages, liability issues and defenses, and malpractice. In the next module, California Procedures for Paralegals, you will explore litigation procedures in the state courts of California from both an academic as well as a law practitioner's point of view. You're going to receive step-by-step instruction on how to prepare summons and complaints, obtain default judgment, prepare answers and cross complaints, evaluate and draft various pretrial motions and discovery requests, and prepare cases for trial and trial-related documents and motions. And then finally, in contract law for paralegals, contracts are going to be involved in virtually every field of law. So in this module, you're going to focus on the specialized skills of contract drafting, analysis, and litigation. You're going to examine several kinds of contracts, and you'll even draft a contract as part of your course requirements. You're also going to learn about remedies for non-performance, for example, like a breach of contract, and third-party contracts. I know that was a lot, but that's what you can expect content-wise from the 4 modules in this course. And if you don't have any prior legal experience, it can seem like a lot, but the program is designed to take you from having no experience to being ready to practice. So don't worry about it too much. Now let's take one of our pins out and talk a little bit more about the minimum of 360 hours that are a part of our program. So according to the California Business and Professions Code, section 6450 through 6456, which outline the legal requirements to become and practice as a paralegal in the state of California, our program meets or exceeds the regulatory standard of 360 hours as an accredited institution. So that means 2 things for you. 1, like I said before, to anticipate and expect to spend at least 360 hours of academic work on this program to align with the Business and Professions Code. And 2, understand that the direct outcome of completing the certificate is the ability to be hired in the state of California as a paralegal. So if this was a question you had coming in, or this is your first time hearing about it, California is one of the few states with a legal educational requirement to actually work and practice as a paralegal. So this is often a question that I get asked. So just to reiterate, the direct outcome of completing this program is the legal ability to work as and be hired as a paralegal in California. And then this usually brings us to 2 more frequently asked questions, which I will cover. One about the American Bar Association and another about external certification exams. So the question we most frequently get in reference to the American Bar Association is this program ABA approved? So we've decided that ABA approval is not going to enhance the quality of our curriculum. This is alongside 75 to 80% of other paralegal education programs in the country. We are approved by the UC Davis School of Law, and we are in compliance with the California Business and Professions Codes mentioned earlier. And this program meets or exceeds the regulatory standard of 360 classroom hours that are required, like I mentioned before. If we were to seek and gain ABA approval, our course tuition would rise, we would no longer be self-paced, and the time to complete the course would go up to 2 years instead of the 6 months that it is now. We would also have to implement prerequisites in most cases to start the course, which as of right now, we don't have any prerequisite requirements to be able to take our program, just recommendations. So what I would recommend doing is, if this is a question that you have coming in, is I would recommend that you look at job postings for paralegals in your area or where you'd like to work and check, do they require ABA approval? Whether they do or don't is going to change how your education looks and how your education works. So if you haven't looked already, I would highly recommend it. What we have found and our program has found is that most jobs posted do not require an ABA approved program. The second question that we get is in regard to certification exams. So the National Association of Legal Assistants, or the NALA, and the National Federation of Paralegal Associations, the NFPA, offer voluntary examinations for a fee. No state requires that a paralegal take any exam, and the vast majority of paralegals have chosen not to take either exam. The NALA offers the CLA examination, and the NFPA offers the PACE examination. If a student has a bachelor's degree in any field and graduates from the UC Davis Continuing and Professional Education's Paralegal Studies Certificate Program, that student qualifies to sit for those exams. But just please note that these organizations do often alter the requirements to sit for the exams, so I would contact them directly about those prerequisites. And just to reiterate, this is just a common question we get. To be hired as a paralegal, these exams are not required. They are optional and voluntary. So moving on from our frequently asked questions and our course content, I want to move into a bit about financing your education. First and foremost, to show our appreciation for you attending this information session, you qualify for $100 off the Paralegal Study Certificate just by using the code FREEINFO at checkout. That is FREEINFO in all caps. Please note that this is not compatible with other discounts. The cost of the program itself is $6,995. And we have implemented a brand new payment plan option where you can divide the course into 3 payments of $2,318.33 with essentially no penalties, no interest, or anything of that nature. It's just meant to provide you with a little bit more flexibility in payment. For the payment plan, the first payment is due upon enrollment. The second payment is due 30 days after enrollment, and the last payment is due 60 days after enrollment. If you are interested in exploring funding support, please contact our student affairs team. You will want to make sure you begin this process well in advance of enrolling. If you're going to need private loans, government assistance such as GI Bill or VA funding, if you qualify for WIOA, SETA, or are interested in exploring any other financial assistance options, I would advise that you visit our Financing Your Education page, which I'm going to put in the chat now. After reviewing the website, if you have any further questions regarding financing your education, you can email cpeinfo@ucdavis.edu or call 530-757-8777. Those are on the right side of your screen right now, but those will also be available in a follow-up email from me. One thing to note is that this program does not qualify for FAFSA or Title IV funds. Now I want to bring us to our last topic, which will be networking and job placement. The Sacramento Valley Paralegal Association, or the SVPA, is a great external opportunity for those looking to jump into a paralegal position after completion of the certificate. They essentially allow you to network with other tenured paralegals in the Sacramento Valley. You can attend events related to topics of interest to paralegals. And we also offer a discount at 10% of your tuition to members of the SVPA. You can find out more on their website at www.svpa.org. As mentioned before, please note that this is not compatible with the free info discount nor other discounts. If you're not in the Sacramento Valley, you can still check out the SVPA. However, if you're not interested in the SVPA specifically, I would still recommend looking at local paralegal associations in your county or city to get connected with and network with. However, this discount opportunity applies specifically to the SVPA and not other paralegal associations. All right, we have another pin to take out. I mentioned earlier that we were going to be talking about paralegal space again, but this time in the context of a career benefit. So one of the other benefits that paralegal space comes with is it has a built-in job board. And as a graduate of the UC Davis Paralegal Study Certificate, you have a lifetime access to this job board and paralegal space as a whole. The exclusive and unique thing about these paralegal job postings is that they are exclusive to the graduates of our program. Since UC Davis is a Tier 1 institution, potential employers who are looking to do some initial vetting of their candidate pool reach directly out to our program to post jobs that might not be available elsewhere. Of course, this doesn't guarantee job placement by any means, but it is another useful tool that comes with this certificate program in boosting your job placement opportunities post-graduation. I mentioned this earlier too. In addition to our Paralegal Studies Certificate Program, we also offer specialist programs in 22 different topic areas for certified paralegals. These programs are meant to enhance a student's knowledge in specific areas of law. There's going to be more details on each topic on our website. And just like this program, these programs are online, 6 months long, and self-paced. I do want to make a note that to enroll in these, you need to have a paralegal certificate. It doesn't have to be from our institution. And we highly recommend that you seek out this specialist program after receiving a certificate and working as a paralegal first. That way you can ensure that you are picking a specialist program that is relevant to your line of work. If you're interested in enrolling in the paralegal specialist programs now, and you already have a certificate, please feel free to schedule a call with me or send me an email to discuss further. So now that you've heard all about the program, it's time for the next step. So if you're ready to enroll, that's great. You can do it online at cpe.ucdavis.edu. Alternatively, you can also call our phone room at 530-757-8777 from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., Monday through Friday. The deadline to enroll for this course is coming up. It's going to be July 1st. So make sure to enroll soon if you can to ensure that you get a seat in the program. If you are not ready to enroll and you have questions you haven't asked yet or didn't get answered today, please set up a time with me on my Calendly or send me an email. Both of those are available on screen now, and it's also the first chat that I sent earlier. One follow-up, or I want you to know what follow-up you can expect since I've talked about the email a few times. So after this information session concludes, what you can expect in that email is the overall program information that we discussed today, a link to this recording, a test drive link for the Paralegal Space website, the free info discount code, pricing information, the link to our Financing Your Education page, as well as an enrollment link, and then my contact information and Calendly. If you have any friends or colleagues that you would think would also be interested in this program, please feel free to send the recording to them as well. All right, so I want to open it up for Q&A now. So I have those over here. I want to provide ample time to answer any questions you may have. If I don't have the answer to your question immediately, I will make a note and I will get back to you before the end of the day today, or I will send it for everyone in that follow-up email. So let me get this over on here. Do people out of state of California need 360 classroom hours? If no, does it shorten the material we need to learn? So our program is specifically designed for California paralegals. The local and state laws are going to be a little bit different if you're taking this program from out of state. And we also, our program is designed to meet that California Business and Professions Code. So there's not flexibility in the 360 classroom hours. It would not shorten the material we need to learn. What I would do is, whichever state you're in, I would encourage you to look at if there are any paralegal requirements to work as a paralegal in that state, what they are. And then after doing that research, I would reach out to myself, and then I can help you kind of explore if this program is right for you. But if you are out of state, this program is designed specifically for California. The deadline to enroll, yes. Can you repeat the deadline to enroll, please? Of course. The deadline to enroll is July 1st. So today is June 10th. So you've got about 20 days before that enrollment deadline. And then the next question is right on the piggyback of that. What is the date for the next class session? When does it begin? So July 1st is also the beginning of the class. So July 1st is both the deadline to enroll and the day that you have access to the course materials. So both are going to be on the same day. I would recommend, if you can, to enroll as soon as you feel comfortable and as soon as you feel able to enroll. That ensures that you will have a seat in the program. So that would be my advice. When is the next enrollment deadline for the next session after July 1st? That is a great question. It is going to be, I believe, October 1st. So the paralegal program is offered every 3 months or once a quarter. And so after July 1st, it'll be October 1st. Similar question, how often does enrollment start? So once a quarter, and then October 1st will be the next deadline. If you don't finish in time or fail a test, what I would recommend doing is reach out to the instructor of the course. So Stephanie Plowman, I mentioned earlier, is also the academic counselor academic coordinator for the paralegal program, and she's also managing the program. I am often CC'd on emails with Stephanie, and she's very responsive and very supportive. I don't know what the official policy is for failing a test, but you do have one attempt. So I would just make sure that if this is something you're concerned about, to reach out to Stephanie and figure out a game plan for understanding the content of the test if you don't feel like you have a full understanding. Stephanie is phenomenal. I often see her respond within 2 to 3 hours to students, and she is managing a ton of students at the same time. And if not, she always gets back to me or other students within 24 hours. So she's very responsive, and despite it being a self-paced online course, she is very available. When you said the paralegal space has dedicated job listings because the school is ranked as tier 1, what does that ranking mean? So just talking about UC Davis as a whole and their ranking as far as public universities go on the national level. And so because it's not talking specifically about our paralegal program, but since our institution and the UC Davis School of Law is recognized so highly, we are considered a tier 1 institution, and that typically elevates the students that come through this program and any of UC Davis's programs, since it is such a respected university. So that's what I meant by that. Tier 1 is just a broad definition. There are other universities that are considered tier 1 as well. So I hope that answered your question. Great question, Maggie. And I totally forgot to go over this in the pricing information. So this is important. I would listen up. Hi, what materials, books, etc. are required, and how do we obtain those, and at what cost? That is a great question, and I forgot to go over it. So books run about $800 on top of the tuition price. There is going to be a link to get those books, and what you can actually expect is 2 of those will be you'll have to purchase those, and then the other 2 we encourage you to rent those to save on costs. But you can anticipate spending about $800 on textbooks. There is actually a link through Paralegal Space. Paralegal Space is a wonderful digital learning platform. They make it pretty easy to digest the content and then also prepare for the content. So in this sense, Paralegal Space has all 4 books that you are going to need, and they have ways to get them, but they also encourage you to do your own research to rent those and reduce the costs. But you can anticipate spending around $800 on textbooks. Thank you for asking that question. As an international student who may not require a student visa, what specific documentation or qualifications are needed to enroll in the certificate program? Are there any language proficiency requirements or credential evaluations involved? Great question. And I touched on this only very briefly, and so I'm glad to have the opportunity to talk about it a little bit more. So our program does not have any official prerequisites. We have recommendations, and our recommendations are that you hold either a high school diploma or have some sort of higher education. These are not prerequisites. There are no transcripts required. If you don't have a student visa, you can still enroll in the course. There's no specific documentation or qualifications that you need to enroll in this certificate program. As far as language proficiency requirements or there's no credential evaluations involved. Language proficiency requirements, I will get back to you on that in an email, unless I think that we have Tiffana here. Tiffana, I'm not sure if you're here.
I'm here.
Do you know the answer? Oh, thanks, Tiffana. Do you know if there's any
There is not
language?
any language proficiency requirements. However, the content of the materials in the classroom, we would just expect that you would be able to follow along and complete it efficiently. But yeah, there's no requirements.
Okay, great. Thanks, Tiffana.
Mhm.
What support is there for students who need additional support if they struggle toward the 6-month mark? That's another great question. And so what I would recommend doing, and this is what we've done historically, what I've seen happen with Stephanie is if you are struggling toward the 6 month mark, I would reach out to Stephanie. Stephanie is great at coming up with a plan, and I've seen her work directly with students before. However, there is a paid extension that you can get through through our phone room. However, we don't see many people needing to use this. Usually they can come up with a game plan to finish in that 6 month time frame. Please repeat. Let me go read your question again. So your question from before was, do people out of state of California need 360 classroom hours? If you are taking this program out of state, once again, I would look into your state's requirements to practice as a paralegal and see if our program aligns with that. However, my official recommendation is that this program is catered directly to California. And so just keep that in mind when you're going to enroll, and make sure that if your state doesn't or does have any requirements, if they do or don't align with our programs. The CPE website mentioned a prepayment discount. To get that, would the payment be due on the date of registration? Great question. And that is actually incorrect on the CPE website. So I'm working with our marketing team to get that fixed. There is no prepayment discount for this course. So great question. And if anyone else saw that, that prepayment discount does not apply to the paralegal program as of right now. It is not explicitly stated on the website. So great question. If I graduate from law school in Mexico, when I enroll, do I have to transcript my documents? You do not. There are no transcripts or anything of the nature required to enroll in the program. Is there any flexibility with GED diploma requirements? There is no requirement to have a GED or a diploma. It is just a recommendation. And so if you're currently working on your GED, which I can see that you said you are, you can enroll as soon as you want. We don't require any transcripts or anything of the nature to enroll. And congratulations on completing your GED so soon, by the way. Are we able to connect with others enrolled in the same session? Tiffany, do you have the answer for that one?
Yeah, so there is opportunity for you to connect through Paralegal Space, but it's not designed like our traditional courses where you're required to engage with other students. So it might not be as natural, but there is you'll have a list of the students and you'll be able to interact with them.
Great. Thanks, Tiffany. Deadline to enroll for October 1st is also October 1st. So it's both the enrollment and start date. Once we enroll, will we get the material requirements? I can send you the textbook requirements after this email. I have that link for Paralegal Space, after this information session in a follow-up email. I have that link from Paralegal Space, and I can send that directly to everyone who attended this information session. So the program is self-paced, just to confirm. Yes, completely self-paced. You determine how fast or how long it takes to complete the program. But just to reiterate, there is a 6-month time frame. We have students who can finish in as fast as 3 months, but that is if you are dedicating almost full time to work on the program. So just keep in mind your own schedule and make sure to set realistic boundaries and expectations with the program to ensure that you're completing. What is the success rate with employment after completing the certificate? Great question, and we get this question pretty often. And what I tell people is that success rate with employment after any of our programs requires the data that we collect is supported by self-report. And we are seeing in some of our programs maybe a 3 to 5% self-report rate on people who actually complete our programs and tell us about their career post-graduation. And so we don't have accurate data representing success rate with employment after completing this certification at this time. Tiffany, I want to make sure that's what I've heard. Do you have any historical data?
Very accurate. It's a very good way.
Okay. Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure.
We do have student success stories. So if you would like to read some success stories about what students have done upon completion, that could encourage you. But yeah, we don't track it.
Yeah, and that's a great point, and I should have brought that up too. And I can send that. I'll send a link to those success stories in the follow-up email, but no specific success rate data. Thank you, Tiffany. Am I allowed to use my AmeriCorps Education Award to pay for this program? Yes, I believe you are. I will be, or there's the Financing Your Education webpage that I put in the chat. So AmeriCorps is one of the financial support options that we often have with our programs. What I would do is I would reach out to me directly, send me an email, and I can set up a time with one of our financial counselors for you and them to connect and make sure that your AmeriCorps Education Award is applicable and gets applied correctly to this program. So I would highly recommend that you send me an email directly, and then I can connect you from there. Can you talk a little bit more about the pros and cons of ABA compliance? One of the other paralegal programs I'm considering has a stricter prerequisite application program and is ABA compliant. Seems like in the industry, there's a difference between paralegals who went through a competitive certificate program versus people who did not. So what I would recommend, same thing as I mentioned before, is the biggest difference between ABA compliance and non-ABA compliant paralegal programs is going to be the length of the program, the prerequisites they require. There's going to be some in-person requirements, and more often than not, they actually require bachelor's degrees. Some have prerequisite courses you can take to avoid having a bachelor degree. The ABA has created this as a different approach to paralegal programs, and jobs, actual paralegal jobs may or may not require that, an ABA accredited paralegal program. So my advice is, if this is a concern for you, or if you're looking at two different programs, look at the actual jobs in your market and see if they require ABA. If you find that a significant portion of the jobs, paralegal jobs in your market, are requiring ABA approval, then this program might not be the greatest for you for job outlook after graduation. But I would highly recommend that you actually go and look at a decent amount of those jobs to see if they do actually require ABA approval. You mentioned SVPA members get 10% off. What are the requirements to become a member? That's a great question. Since SVPA is a third-party organization, I don't want to speak on their behalf, as they may alter the requirements from time to time, and I don't have the up-to-date requirements off the top of my head right now. However, we do have that ongoing partnership with the SVPA, allowing members to get 10% off. And so what I would recommend doing is going to their website, which I will go back to. It's www.svpa.org. I would go and explore what their membership requirements are. There is a cost associated with membership, so please keep that in mind. Is there a Students Disability Center for the paralegal program? If I'm interpreting your question correctly, if you're asking about disability accommodations, yes, our programs in general accommodate for disabilities. And so if you have a specific accommodation request, I would recommend that you reach out to me directly, and so we can ensure prior to you enrolling that that accommodation is met. Do I need to still enroll if I'm working with the DOR and I've already signed my consent to join the paralegal program? What I would do is I would reach out to me and I can check your enrollment status. So I would send an email to myself at jtreddy@ucdavis.edu, and then I can check on your enrollment status and make sure that you are enrolled in the program. How do students contact the instructors of the program? You're going to have the email addresses for Stephanie and for Michael, and so you'll be able to contact them via email. Can I find work out of state with the certificate or only California? Great question. A lot of states don't have any prior paralegal educational requirements. And so I would recommend that you look specifically into the state you're looking to work in. If it's a broad amount of states, I would look broadly. California, among a few other states, have stricter requirements for education for paralegals. And so this will probably be a little overkill for most states, but this is a requirement for California. What is the rate of out-of-state certificate employment in the field of law? And B, as a paralegal, specifically 6 months out of completion. So once again, we don't quite have accurate employment data due to the fact that it relies on self-report. We do have success stories, as we mentioned before, and those will be in the follow-up email. Financing is going to be my primary issue. Do I have time to secure funding through student affairs options and still be able to start the program on July 1st? Yes, absolutely. You absolutely have time to secure funding through the student affairs options and still be able to start the program. And so I will also be, but I'll put up that slide again. So if you want to get connected broadly for special funding options, I would highly recommend you reach out to cpeinfo@ucdavis.edu. Mention you came to this information session and that you're looking to get connected with a financial counselor, and then they can help you secure funding through those options. What will we be doing in the 360 hours of work requirements? Just to clarify, it's academic work, and so it's built directly into the program, and that will be these 4 modules that will take that 360 hours. So it's not the education here and the work here, it's one and the same. So it's 360 hours of academic work. And this is kind of what a timeline would look like depending on the person, but this is an estimate of how long it takes to get through each module. For any specific accommodation requests, I would just send me an email directly, and that way I can ensure that we have the right one for you. There's just another question about disability accommodations, and those are done on a specific basis, and we want to work directly with you on that. And so please reach out to me directly at jtready@ucdavis.edu, and then I can get you connected and make sure that we accommodate you appropriately. There are none in my state. If there's no paralegal requirements in your state, then you can work right now, theoretically, as a paralegal. Of the 4 courses, is it best to do one at a time, or is that flexible based on the student's schedule? Great question. So for my understanding of paralegal space, it is self-paced, right? Like I said, right? But the first module is essential skills for paralegals, and that's going to be able to help provide a larger context for the subsequent modules. And so I would, you're going to take essential skills for paralegals first, and then after that, I believe you can take the 3 individual modules after that. And so I believe there is some flexibility with the last 3, but the first one is going to provide important context for the legal field in general. And so that one will be done first. You are very welcome. Is homework expected daily for every course, and how is it weighed into grades? Are class grades pass-fail? They are not pass-fail. And so you can expect to be on a normal grade scale. Exams and homework assignments need to be passed at a grade of 70% or more. As far as frequency, there's actually only going to be homework or any form of written assignments for the Essential Skills for Paralegals program. Tort law, California procedures, and contract law will all just have a final exam. I can't speak directly for the weight, as the programs may change depending on if they're incorporating new information as the legal field changes. And so homework may change, the amount of assignments, the frequency of assignments may vary. You shouldn't expect it daily. And it would only be daily if you were going very quickly through the course. Since it is self-paced, it's going to really be up to you to complete that task when you're able. And so you shouldn't anticipate having to do daily work, but just doing work when you are able, since it is self-paced. Is there a certificate ceremony? There is not a certificate ceremony. So upon completion of the program, we will send you your certificate, and then you will be able to work as a paralegal. If we schedule something on my calendar, can you enroll us in the program? Great question. I am not in charge of enrollment directly or taking payment or anything like that. If you want to enroll over email or want to do it over the phone, I would do it at 530-757-8777, or you can email cpeinfo@ucdavis.edu, or you can do it entirely online at cpe.ucdavis.edu. If you did schedule a time on my calendar, that would be more to discuss further questions related to content of the course. How much of the program is taught by audio and video? Is it all reading? So I haven't taken the course personally, but I've used the resource that we provide, which is the Paralegal Test Drive resource. And it is predominantly reading, but there are going to be some video and audio options. However, this program does accommodate for any disabilities, like I mentioned before. And so there is going to be reading options and audio options available if needed. I am a full-time legal assistant. Will my work hours qualify for the 360 hours? So the program is built around the 360 hours directly, and it's not flexible. So if you enroll in the course, you need to do the 360 hours to make sure that we are certifying people in compliance with the Business and Professions Code. And so they may technically qualify you. I'm not saying they do. They might qualify you, but the specific wording in the Business Professions Code is educational or academic work, and not like actual work hours. And so that's why it's not flexible in terms of the time requirement of the course. Great question. And I didn't mention this earlier. This is a pretty small detail that comes with the program. The course mentions learning how to use LexisNexis programs. Will there be a professional subscription, or will this be a dummy platform we use for learning how to use the program? Our certificate program actually comes with lifetime access to LexisNexis. And for those of you who don't know what that is legal resources, essentially. And so you will have lifetime access. So you will receive a professional subscription and you'll have lifetime access. If you pay for the course with the payment plan, is the end cost more expensive, or does it come out to the same price? It comes out to the same price. So there's no interest, there's no hidden fees, nothing like that. It's just divided into 3 payments. We wanted to explore a way to have a little bit more flexibility with how we receive payment. And so it comes out to the same price. Is there an option to go to the school to work on this program? This program is entirely self-paced and asynchronous, and it's not there will be no access to in-person lectures or utilizing the library or law center. That's in the spirit of equity, and there are people who are taking this program who are in Southern California or might be interested in taking it from out of state, for example. And so we try to make everything available online and to limit it to that. If we have taken paralegal classes at other institutes such as Penn Law, can it be applied to this program as credits? Not this program specifically, and the reason for that is similar to what I mentioned before. Since we have the responsibility to certify someone as the sole responsibility to certify that someone has taken 360 hours of academic work through the paralegal program, we do not accept outside credits for the paralegal program. Our course is designed to get you those 360 hours from start to finish. That one was already answered. Can you go over the course overview slide to summarize what each course goes over? Yeah, I will come back to that in just a moment. I'm going to finish the remainder of the Q&A first, since that will take just a few minutes. Okay, Megan, if you're looking at jobs out of state and require a certificate, and you see that a lot do, then that would probably mean this program is right for you. I would recommend that you set up a call with me, because then we can talk more one-on-one instead of in this Zoom format, and we can make sure that the program is a good fit for you. there's a cost associated to this, and there's a time commitment associated to this, and I want to make sure that this program is right for you, especially if you're coming from out of state. So if you want to set up a Calendly with me, that's on screen right now, I would highly recommend that. So could I work in California, being graduate from law school in Mexico, but doing the program would be a plus in my curriculum? So the direct outcome of this program is ability to be hired as a paralegal in California. And so if you are looking to work as a paralegal, then yes, this would be a plus in your curriculum and would also allow you to work as a paralegal. If you are looking to practice as an attorney, since you mentioned that you graduated from law school in Mexico, this program would only benefit your resume, show that you understand and have professional understanding of the requirements to be a paralegal in California. Are there any internship opportunities associated with this program? There are not. However, there are those exclusive job postings that are in paralegal space, as I mentioned before. The audio format for accessibility, does it also apply to physical textbooks or only ebooks? And are ebooks compatible with any e-reader? That's a good question, Megan. I would also bring that to the Calendly appointment if you do choose to make one. But the e-reader for the paralegal space website is specifically for the content in paralegal space and for the textbooks that they recommend that you purchase. If you go outside of how they recommend you rent or purchase the textbooks, then I can't guarantee that there is audio format accessibility there. Can I still have access to campus and use a library or other resources? So this program is disconnected from campus, like I mentioned before, and so there's no official access to campus or official access to the library through UC Davis. You will have access to LexisNexis, like mentioned before, and so you will have lifetime access to those legal resources digitally. Great question. So most programs include specialty courses in their curriculum. What was the thought process behind separating them into different programs of several months? And how many specialties can you choose for that program? So I will go back to, it's just one slide. So there's 22 different specialist programs. So our thought process is our program is designed to take someone who wants to generally practice as a paralegal and enable them to do that in a short time frame. That's why we're not ABA approved. And that's why our program is self-paced for people who want to finish quicker. And that's why we have that limit of 6 months. So our program is designed to be quick. And it's designed to take someone who maybe wants to change careers or start as a paralegal. So that's kind of the thought process behind it is we are not applying any specialty paralegal specialties to the primary program in order to make it more accessible for everyone. And then these are the list of specialties that you can see here and are also available on our website. Can I review the course materials? I will send the course materials in a follow-up email. You are welcome. I recommend taking the specialty program if you know exactly which one of these specialty programs you want to go into. The only reason that we recommend that is if you take a specialty program hoping to go into a direction, that's great. And if you are set on going in that direction as a paralegal, then you can absolutely take the program. It's just my personal and official recommendation that you take it after already going in that direction as a paralegal. But you are absolutely welcome to take one of these specialty programs immediately after receiving the certificate. Someone said same, but I do not know what you are referring to. All right, and then I have one more question in here, which is to go over the course slides one more time and to talk a little bit about these 4 modules. No, the other specialties cannot be taken as a short elective. They are full 6-month programs to dive really deep into the specialty. Okay, so this is the last thing. I'm going over these 4 modules. If you already feel like you're comfortable with this information, already have it, you are more than welcome to. I know that we're about to run into time. I will go a little bit over time to talk about this. And actually, right before we get back into that, I just want to thank you all for coming. And as a reminder, you're going to receive a recording of this information session either tomorrow or the next day, usually within 24 hours, but you should see it within that time frame. If you have any questions that remain unanswered or we didn't get to, please set up a call with me. I love talking about this. I know we've talked about it for quite a bit of time, but I would love to have a one-on-one conversation with you. So please feel free to set up a time on my Calendly at calendly.com/jtready. And you can look forward to that email. I appreciate all your time and looking forward to seeing you enroll in the program. All right, and I will briefly talk about the modules. Okay, so there's 4 modules. So there's essential skills for paralegals, there's tort law for paralegals, California procedures for paralegals, and contract law for paralegals. So the first one is going to be, it's funny, it's the longest program or longest module, but the shortest explanation, because this is going to be inclusive of everything essential that a paralegal will need to understand in order to practice as a paralegal, specifically in the state of California. So this is going to be the broadest education part or academic part of the program, making sure that you are generally ready to practice as a paralegal. And then the following 3 modules are going to be more specific and therefore can be talked about in a little bit more detail. So tort law for paralegals, you're going to gain an understanding of laws pertaining to personal injury, product liability, and malpractice. You'll examine the intentional torts of battery, assault, false imprisonment, intentional infliction of mental distress, and trespass to property and conversion. You will also analyze negligence, breach of duty, causation and damages, liability issues and defenses, and malpractice. The next one, California procedures for paralegals, you're going to explore litigation procedures in the state courts of California from both an academic as well as a law practitioner's point of view. You're going to receive step-by-step instructions on how to prepare summons and complaints, obtain default judgment, prepare answers and cross complaints, evaluate and draft various pretrial motions and discovery requests, and to prepare cases for trial and trial-related documents and motions. And then finally, contract law for paralegals. Since contracts are involved in pretty much every single field of law, that's why they decided to include this module. And in it, you will focus on the specialized skills of contract drafting, analysis, and litigation. You will examine several kinds of contracts, and you're even going to draft a contract as part of your course requirements. And you're also going to learn about remedies for non-performance, such as a breach of contract and third-party contracts. So that's what you can expect. Of course, content-wise, that will also be in the follow-up email. So I know it's a lot of jargon. That will all be written in the follow-up email. And I think that is everything. So I will send a full course breakdown in the follow-up email. And we are at time here, so I thank you so much, everyone, for attending. I appreciate your time this afternoon and looking forward to seeing you enroll. If you have any other questions, please feel free to set up another time with me on my Calendly. You are very welcome. You're welcome, everyone. Hope you all have a great rest of your day.